it feels like so much in crypto, specifically around a lot of the projects I'm in, a lot of my friends' projects. It's like it kind of feels like a lot of us are waiting for an exit, like just one last pump, and then to like just find security.
Well, I think that's the difference between a speculator and a builder.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the majority of like the crypto market has moved institutional.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's less innovation on the personal side. There's more gambling, more speculation, the whole meme trading, pump fund, all of that. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, you have all the big financial institutions who are building stablecoin rails for the entire treasury market, which will be a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And so that's going on, but this doesn't get as much fanfare, right? It's like we don't know anybody who's really doing that except for, I mean, my buddy Zach Batir is working on Morpho, and they're rebuilding the entire financial pipeline, the repo market, everything, the lending market on the blockchain. But that doesn't get a lot of press. It's not very interesting.
Yeah.
It's very mathematical and technical.
It does drive Bitcoin up.
Yeah.
In like the market up, but stablecoins have always made me nervous. Basically coming back from like my economics Latin America class and watching people peg to the dollar. And I think this is something we've talked about before. I just worry. And then, you know, when in the 2021 bull, like the biggest blow up was a stable coin. Like how well do you think the economics are on these things?
Well, I think if the United States partners with like a Tether or partners with a big stablecoin issuer, and I think Tether is the third or fourth biggest buyer of U.S. Treasuries now, which is crazy, and that's insane.
Yeah.
And if the entire world moves on to a U.S. dollar stablecoin, that's the end game.
Yeah.
Then the United States dollar has effectively won the global reserve currency. I don't, at least for another century. I don't see a path out of there. And so, I mean, I think the economics for the United States government are really good if they find this perpetual bid on the U.S. dollar, which there already is a perpetual bid on the U.S. dollar because, you know, 50% of the entire global economy is pegged to the dollar. And so this just increases that perpetual bid. And so, I mean, I think Tether has the probably highest amount of revenue per employee of any company ever.
Damn.
It's billions of dollars.
More than NVIDIA?
Yeah, more than NVIDIA.
It's billions of dollars?
Not per employee.
Okay.
But they're making billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And it's basically a yield. It's a yield arbitrage, right? They sell the yield for a certain amount and they buy the yield for a lower amount, right? And that's how they make money.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think the economics of that are very interesting because one, why would somebody who's in Zimbabwe or Venezuela or countries that have very volatile currencies use their own local currency versus using the dollar? We all complain about, oh, the dollar's depreciating, the dollar's losing its value, but everything in economics is relative. That's the most important part.
Yeah,
so
demand skyrockets, we're fine.
Yeah, you have to look at everything as relative, and the dollar, besides the Swiss franc, and I think there's a really interesting reason why the Swiss franc is doing well, but everything else people don't want to hold. That's why they're buying Bitcoin, they're buying gold. I mean, gold's at all-time highs right now, and I think that's what is. I think the big fear around stablecoins is people believe it'll be a tool for oppression or control. I think that's absolutely a very fair critique of it, and I don't want that. I don't think anybody else wants that. I mean, some people might want that, but I think that's probably the biggest criticism that I would say. Okay, cool. That's I think the thing that worries me.
Yeah, because that's essentially what Bitcoin did, right? Bitcoin became, what was it, like the FBI called it at one point, it was criminal futures. Because they know they could retroactively go back and see what people did, and then it could easily trace it.
It's actually really bad to be a criminal and use Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah,
like you can
horrible.
just easily
just ask Ross Ulbricht.
Yeah, shout out to the homies out. I almost wore my shirt of his today. Dude. And to your point, though, you know, you go to some of these foreign countries with volatile currencies, and you can pay in dollars. It's not easy. It's harder to the transaction. But now, if you can actually use a stable coin, do it digitally, then it becomes like everybody's ability to use it and then get into U.S. banks. And I can see that now.
You don't even have to use U.S. banks.
Yeah.
And
but you'd want to using Tether, like holding it in a wallet or something that's like more custodial, because when you have like non-stable currencies, banks are scary too. You know what I mean? So like you actually can have institutions that are backing this.
Well, it's not even
in
really,
Zimbabwe.
Maybe it's not even an institution, it's self-custody.
I just don't think self-custody in the masses is going to like cruise super hard.
I don't think so either, but I think the end state for crypto is people don't know they're using it.
Yeah, for sure.
Period.
Yeah.
Full stop. And so if you are you keep cash in a checking account or a savings account. I keep cash in a checking account, savings account. The bank takes our cash, they rehypothecate it, they multiply it by 10 and then loan it out.
Yep.
Okay, and they pay us a paltry yield, and then they sell the yield for much higher. Crypto almost inverts that, where I keep cash. The stablecoin issuer then takes that and sells it, but they can also return that back to the user. And so I think the future of all of this, and I think the future in general that we're moving into, which I think is really interesting, is the financialization of everything, the democratization of yield. So you can actually gain yield on everything, which is really interesting. And then I think we're in a really unique moment. I think you brought this up, where like, why does it seem like things are going well and bad at the same time? Yeah. We're at a moment where I think more people feel they have to speculate and gamble to get ahead than ever before. And that's really, I think it's dangerous. And I think it is a really tight rope we're walking as a society.
I think there's, I want to get to there, but going back to your first point around the tokenization of everything, Jack Butcher did a tweet recently, which is like, if everything's a token, nothing's a token.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Well, the tokenization of everything, or if everything's a token, nothing's a token.
Yeah.
Well, technically, you can look at everything as a token. You just can't trade it or create a market of it. And so what does a token do? It just takes something whole and breaks it up into smaller pieces. And then it allows you to value those smaller pieces against something else. Or it allows you to trade those smaller pieces, or allows you to rent those smaller pieces to somebody else. And so let's say I own my home, okay? And let's say the home's worth $1 million, and my home is on the blockchain, whatever that means. And I now have, I can split this $1 million home into 1 million different tokens that are worth $1 each. And I can say, okay, cool, I'm willing to take a little bit of risk on this house. I'm willing to, or maybe you as an investor, you're looking for some yield. You're like, okay, cool. Let me buy 10% of Jared's house and I'll get this X yield from it, from the rent, from the payments. And that's just not available right now. And think about that, but think about that for everything. Yeah. Private businesses, public businesses, people's sports collectibles, car collectibles, everything. Maybe even people's salaries, maybe even people's IP. Maybe you can tokenize Sky King's mental playground and allow people to, purchase pieces of it and then earn yield off of it. Yeah. And it creates this. We
also did tokenize it, first person ever, just for the record.
There you go.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah. Are you earning yield?
No, it's non-fungible, so it's different. But yeah.
So, if everything's a token, nothing's a token. Yeah. Yes, that's true, but an economy is just things moving back and forth and around, right? And so the more things you add into that pool that move around, the higher the GDP is. And so this takes assets that are harder to trade, hard to monetize, hard to create a market for, and it makes it easier to make a market for them. But we're just not seeing that as much in the real world because this stuff takes a really long time. And so the place we'll see it most very soon is private companies tokenizing their stock and that being traded. You're already seeing it in Europe. So you can buy tokens for SpaceX, OpenAI, stuff like that. And it's kind of like a futures contract, kind of like an option contract, because you don't actually get any deliverable. But all of a sudden, this thing that has some predetermined value that is set by the VCs and the fundraisers and the company now gets set by the market.
When I think about this, like the only thing I can think about is the third thing that we were talking about, which is why people feel like the economy is booming and also collapsing, and why they're turning to gambling, is in my mind, when we tokenize everything, then the oil becomes attention or network. And the people who have access to like attention will be able to sell their tokens. All the other tokens basically go to zero, get no movement. And you have this increased almost like nihilism in the underclass going on.
Yeah. I mean, that exists already.
For sure. Like, but I just, like, I think a lot of things happened like in the last few weeks even that I just see where I was way more bullish on potential unity, just this like explosion of bifurcating our realities farther and farther and farther apart.
Yes.
And then when everything's tokenized, basically you have to be early or know or be able to sell to a lot of people in order to see this massive upside. And then a lot of people are just being left holding the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's 100% true. I think the general direction we're heading as a society is continued hyper fractalization of culture, which is subcultures and subcultures and subcultures, and people find those subcultures and they kind of create their own universes. And inside of those universes, there are rules, and there's influencers, and there's status, and that keeps breaking further and further apart, and you get this web, and it keeps going out and out and out. And so this culture is so far away from this culture, they just don't even understand each other, right? And I think if you back it up 100 years, we had much more of a monoculture. Of course, there was individual branches of it, but it wasn't that far apart.
Yeah.
We're getting further and further and further.
But if you back it up 200 years, it was more like that.
The individual subcultures?
Yeah.
Where?
Super hyper localized in Asia, Europe, America. We were able to not cross-pollinate.
A villager in, or like someone who's maybe working in a factory in France was very similar to the other person that was working in a factory in France.
In France.
Yeah.
But somebody working in Paris was very different to somebody working in Leon.
Yeah,
like,
but they were maybe they all had a common faith, and
usually it's the religion. The only common thing was this religion. Yeah.
And so now, like, I'm actually very curious about this because I think Christianity.
Even it's just like, let's look at Europe as a whole. Consider Europe. Like before the EU, before World War I, like it was so distinct in such a small area, right? And there were all these unique, and then within the villages, there were like.
But within that culture, it was a monoculture.
It was a top down for sure. Yeah.
And so with this hyperfractalization, I think we're also entering the speed of cycles increasing, which creates this boom bust phenomenon, which is kind of what you're referencing. And so as the speed of the cycles increase, because the value comes from attention, and attention is fickle, and it evaporates very quickly.
Ephemeral as fuck.
It's ephemeral, and it just kind of bounces up and down, and it's hyper extraction. It's hyper extraction from that group. And I don't know what the solution is to that. I think that's just kind of the general direction everything is heading. And it's also heading that way because we're entering a world where AI will create hyper customized versions of reality for everybody. I think about this a lot. We each have a different Netflix account, and our Netflix accounts have different algorithms that show us different content. Okay. In the next 10 years, I would not be surprised if on a Netflix earnings call, they talk about their new hyper customization of individual shows where they show Jared Nations the same show as they show Sky King, but your show has different music than mine, has a slightly different ending than mine, it has a slightly different character. Maybe the male characters in mine are female in yours, or maybe they're different races or something like that, whatever. And they talk about how they've increased engagement by 25% by this hyper customized real-time generated content algorithm that they've built. And so you and I watch the same show, maybe at the same time, that has different characters, different music, potentially even a slightly different ending. And so when you used to watch a show, you could go and talk about it, like, oh my God, that was so crazy when that part happened. What happens then? You're like, oh, like, no, that wasn't how my show went.
Yeah. In some ways, though, I actually feel like that's way more human, because how many times you've had conversations with people who they watch the same thing as you and they see something completely different. Like, that is such a human fucking thing.
Yeah, but you still watch the same thing. And so then you could have a discussion about why you saw it differently. But if we actually just saw something different, that's broken.
I don't. It doesn't allow us to come to the table and have a discussion about what we saw. Because we don't have the same basic things.
So once again, people will all of a sudden be further and further and further and further and further apart from their neighbors. Which I think is one of the core problems that we have, is these subcultures and subcultures and subcultures create distance between people. And what we're missing, at least from my perspective, is bringing people together. Like what unifies people? Like what common, it may not even be like what interests are you, but like what common values unify us as a country, as a city, as a friend group, as a family. I think that's really important to find.
I actually really love this like crazy bifurcation and like just decentralization of culture, but I do wish we just had one, like even if it was just like the 10 Commandments or one central thing. Like in my mind, like if we could just all aim towards like aiming up.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, cool, we all want our kids to, like, this is the problem with people having less kids, because I feel like
Yeah.
that can almost solve it. It's like, you want to have a better future
Maybe
for
it
your
is
kids.
just children. Yeah.
Maybe it's just children. Because like, I think it's cool to have different cultures. I love that so much. And I love being able to bounce around cultures, you know what I mean? But I want us to all be like hoping that the future will be better than the past. And like at least having some sort of sense that even if we disagree on how to get there, we can come back to the same outcome as the goal.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting. Well, one, why are people not having as many kids as they used to? And I guess maybe what's I spent a lot of time thinking about isn't that one piece specifically, but
I think I spent a lot of time thinking about the one piece as well.
Well, what is the hierarchy of culture? What's the culture pyramid, the flow chart of culture of like what's upstream of that and what's upstream of that? And so what is upstream of this end state, which seems like is a post-industrial service-based economy, highly online culture that creates a society that doesn't want to have more children, or it creates a society where the belief that the future will be worse than it was in the past. And that's a really, I don't know if there is an answer, but I haven't certainly found it. But
what are your like best guesses right now?
What has created it?
What is upstream?
What is upstream of that? I think people want to believe that the future will be better than the past. I think people ultimately want to believe that, but I think people have been let down. And I think people also, I think what is maybe up ahead of that is,
Can I jump in while you're thinking?
Yeah.
I think so much of how we think right now is like duality based or binary, from like computer programming all the way to like God and Satan and shit. Jesus and Antichrist.
Yeah.
I was talking at a wedding this weekend with my friend Steve, and I was asking if he's optimistic or pessimistic. And he's like, dude, it's so crazy. Like, I feel like I'm so pessimistic in the moment and so optimistic for the future.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what happened when we became very sedated and very much given everything possible and living in relative peace is we became optimistic about the present and therefore pessimistic about the future. And I think like an effective person thinks about everything that could go wrong, solves it, but believes that the outcome's going to be good, because you need to be able to, like, if you're going to pursue anything. So like that's like an entrepreneur, right? You solve the pessimism with current reality to make better reality all day long.
Yeah.
And I think what happened is we deleted so many problems that like the energy has to go. It's like the yin and yang. Both have to exist. And since people became optimistic in the present and became hedonistic in the present and became giving everything to the present, fuck second order, third order consequences, and got addicted to porn and to sugar and to fast things in the present hedonism, the only option then would be pessimism in the future, because both have to exist.
Yeah, I think it's actually maybe a natural like immune response to the human being, where if you get everything satisfied in the moment, why would you want a future to exist? You just, everything is good right now. I'm comfortable right now. I actually don't really want to work that hard. I think everything in life that's really worth pursuing has the feeling of, oh shit, I don't want to do this, before you do it. Because that feeling of like, oh shit, I really don't want to do that is, as Joe Rogan says, your inner bitch. Just being like, no, I don't want to meditate. Meditation is stupid. It's so fucking stupid. I hate sitting. I look like an idiot sitting on this little mat. Like, why the fuck would I do that? It's like my inner monologue.
Every time fucking ancestors look down at me like, man, that guy's a bitch.
He's a little bitch. Like doing breath work, cold plunge, starting a new business. You're like, fuck, I don't know, man. That sounds really hard. Like, that sounds really hard. I don't know if I can do that. Can I do that? A hard workout, even getting married and having children, all rest in that same thing. And I think at least what I found personally is the simple stuff that requires diligence, hard work. It requires a certain level of like mastery, and it has some element of risk, is where purpose and value is created. And there's very little purpose and value created in always ordering DoorDash.
Yep.
It's consumptive, and you feel it's like you're unwrapping this plastic. Everything's wrapped in plastic, and it's so, I don't know if unnatural is the right word, because I mean it is unnatural, but it feels so consumptive, and it doesn't feel enriching to at least my soul.
It's there's a malaise to it. It's like scrolling, right? It's the same thing.
It's like scrolling, yeah.
Because you're entertained.
Well, you're literally scrolling to find it.
It's like you make all these decisions that have no consequence really, and then it arrives, and then all of a sudden you're pleased, and you're just like, why am I pleased?
So then, like, just wrapping it back, like, where did our culture go wrong to lead us here? And I mean, one of the things is I think our economic system, but maybe it's not even the economic system. It's the not paying attention to what the incentives of that system are creating. And at least kind of my personal spiritual philosophy is create awareness. Mm-hmm. And the more awareness I can create, the more I can make informed decisions about how I want to respond. And like, go back to the Netflix thing. It's like, what is Netflix's goal? To have you watch more content, like not cancel. Art. No, it's so you don't cancel your subscription. This is their only goal. So have you not cancel your subscription and sell an incremental more subscriptions next month, right? That's their goal. Their goal is not to create art. What art has Netflix created?
Orange is the New Black.
I didn't watch
being able to watch everything.
I mean, once. Stranger Things.
Stranger Things rocks. That rocks.
You think anybody's gonna remember Stranger Things in 100 years?
Icarus.
I didn't watch it.
You did. The Russian doping scandal. Mm-mm. Like one of the greatest documentaries ever made.
I didn't watch it.
You never watched Icarus?
No.
I think that was great.
That's a documentary though.
Netflix made it. They funded it. It was the first Netflix and the first streaming thing to win an Academy Award.
I mean, I guess actually let's separate documentaries.
Sorry, you're right. By the way, I'm just like I actually just thought of one.
Let's separate documentaries because the Last Dance with Michael Jordan is also phenomenal.
Yes,
I think actually Netflix crushes. I think Netflix actually crushes documentaries.
Yeah.
But how much of that will actually survive? Like maybe it will. Who knows? But I think original content and the whole point of the idea, the concept is walking it back to like what is the part of our culture that is upstream of this reality we're noticing where people believe that the future will be worse, or they potentially have their priorities inverted, where they believe that personal achievement, personal comfort, and personal enrichment is above sacrifice, duty, and hard work. Mm-hmm. And personal enrichment, from my personal experience, is so much less fulfilling to my soul, to my being, than sacrifice, hard work, and I'm really just actually those two things: sacrifice, hard work, and I think what's upstream of downstream of sacrifice and hard work is gratitude.
That's the crazy thing is sacrifice is such a bad branding.
It is.
Because it sounds like, oh, like suffering. It's like, no, it's actually choosing what is most important to me in the long term. Mm-hmm. That's what sacrificing is. You can't have everything.
It's the marshmallow theory.
Everything you want.
It's the two marshmallow theory. 100%.
But I think this is where Huberman caught like a massive wave, was because his whole study in the beginning was on dopamine, and this is what it is, right? You build like better dopamine pathways by delaying fulfillment.
Yeah.
And thinking a little bit past where you're at. Did you see Scott Adams? It kind of went viral recently. His 2 minutes on how not to be lazy anymore.
I haven't seen that now.
Okay. One Scott Adams, when he dies soon, is going to be like, if I could tokenize Scott Adams, I would invest so much money, because I think it's going to be like Norm Macdonald times 1,000 just because he was so prolific on all of his little genius quips. And it sucks because like half the world won't even look at him because he went MAGA like early on. But his thought process on how not to be lazy is basically it's 3 steps. You sit there and you think about what you want. And instead of thinking about the effort that it'll take to get what you want, you think about how good it will feel to have what you want. And then you're just stop being lazy, because what you do is you orient your mind around the good part of what you want to have versus, oh man, if I have to wake up this morning, it's going to suck to wake up, versus like, oh shit, once I've woken up at 6 and I have a whole morning and I wrote, and now I feel like I'm an agent within the world, and like I can be active and it feels amazing, and focusing on that versus like, fuck, setting my alarm at 6 sucks.
God, that feels like such step one.
It is step one.
That feels like such step one.
But step one is the most important step.
Because then you have to realize that getting the thing is just as meaningless and useless as any part of the whole process.
I don't think so, because...
Well, it is.
Because it's actually the act of doing the thing that's getting the thing.
Exactly.
That's the value.
100%. That is the value.
And to feel fulfilled, like I think we are meaning-making machines as humans.
Yes.
And so it's like if you were believing God, it's our God-given right as humans, the only ones who can pursue the thing they choose to want. You can realize like that thing didn't matter, but the journey, like not to be fucking cliche as fuck, but the journey is dope matter. As fuck. That's the fun part.
That's why I say it's step one, because step one is you have to identify the thing you want. Then you have to prove that you are capable of getting the thing.
And to yourself.
Yes, to yourself. And then once you get the thing, you realize, hopefully you realize, oh, wow, I got the thing. I'm really happy I got the thing. Well, the happiness kind of fades very quickly. The depreciation curve is very quick on that. And then you realize, oh, well, there's this other thing I want. And there's other thing I want.
I think that we might be talking a little bit differently because like I think there's a consumerism aspect which like you're targeting, but there's also like having a child is like I think very different than that, or like pursuing like actually creating the greatest thing you've ever created over 30 years. Like I feel like versus I want a house or I think that totally exists in that lane, but from the active creation standpoint, which takes the most amount of energy. Like I think there's people who do it out of trauma, like Mr. Beast, and when he found out he succeeded at his ultimate goal, he was like. There's a clip where Logan Paul's like, "Did you celebrate?" He was like, "No, I just kept working." And it's like, "Oh, because you're deeply traumatized." But I think there is a part of you where, like, at least for me, when you get to like work, like right now, I feel the most stoked that I've ever felt. One, family's healthy and that rocks. Like my biggest fear is that it's all gonna be taken away somehow. Or now I get to work on cool things with my friends, or like sit in an environment that rocks and do it tired and whatever, and that feels really good. But I don't actually have a goal, so I do think having like it's a hard tension. I know I'm like talking around here. It's like have a goal but don't have a goal.
Well,
aim a direction, but it's like notice that it's like the day is the best part.
100%. So the other night I experienced the most amount of anger I felt in probably the last year. Okay, and within that I was trying to get my son to fall asleep, and he's jumping on the bed. He's having the best time ever, and I just felt so unbelievably. I felt all this anger come up inside of me. And it was a lot to work with and to not put onto him. I'm like, I love my son so much. He has so much joy right now. And why am I feeling all this anger? And it took so much of like my personal tools to one, like calm myself down and not shame myself for also feeling angry. But my whole point in this is, that's why I believe awareness is the most important skill to develop and create, because when you become aware that, oh, here's why I'm feeling angry. I feel like my evenings are being taken away from me, and that's the time where I connect with my wife, that's the time where I work on projects I'm interested in, that's the time I just relax and chill. And if we don't cultivate awareness, then it doesn't matter which part of the journey you prioritize. You will not be aware of why you're prioritizing it. You'll also not be aware of how you celebrate it, how you define yourself by it. You won't be aware that once you reach it, that's not the end state. There actually is no end state. It's just this constant, perpetual recreation, rebirth, death. Even with having a child, they're changing constantly.
Yeah, I call it many deaths. Like
many deaths.
M-A-N-Y, M-I-N-I.
Yes. Yeah. Many deaths. Yeah. Constantly, forever, always, in every part of our lives. Yeah. There's no normal to go back to.
The cycle expands a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, because like 0 to 1, it's a weekly, like 3-day death, and then like 17 to 18, it's like one death.
So I mean, just kind of like going back to the thread of the conversation we're having right now is like, why do some people feel like they're thriving, and why do some people feel like they're drowning? And I feel like I actually don't know. It's like why are the people that we're surrounded with all seem like they're thriving? They're able to use the modern tools, which is the internet mostly, to absolutely thrive. And why are there so many people who are not able to do that? It's actually never been easier to start a business. It's never been easier to scale a business. It's never been easier to take an idea and create a product that is valuable and scale that to millions and millions of people. It's literally never been easier before. But why are so many people struggling with it? I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I think it's, so let's go. We have, let's say step 1, actually I think it's 1 to 2 is from lazy to not lazy.
Yeah.
But I think so in my mind, where I would start would be step 0, which is like foster awareness of what you want. And I think that people are so, and I noticed this, I'll just speak for myself. Like I stopped listening to podcasts this year, which is pretty crazy.
Ironic.
outside of my own podcasts, because I've been like the largest podcast listener ever. Like Spotify and Wrapped, it's like I'm 0.001% of podcast listeners.
Just constant.
Yeah. It just made me realize that I was losing so much energy because other people were creating my thoughts. And I think about, and podcasting is such a passive version of that. Like if you're spending 2 hours a day scrolling, like you have no space to become aware, to then become even lazy, to then become not lazy towards any sort of what you would want that's different than right now. Or like even the state of being. And it's like this crazy malaise that we live in. It's this like hedonic treadmill of just like semi-good but semi-bad feelings. It's like a constant state of post-nut non-clarity.
Oh my God. So something I believe to my core is that if an individual or myself doesn't create a set of beliefs and guidelines and philosophies and even set something apart as like a higher power, it doesn't have to be God. It could be a philosophy. It can be an ideal. It can be a moral framework. If we don't set that for ourselves, our culture will set it for us. And specifically our culture, like American culture in 2025, is awful at setting those priorities because the priority of that culture is to extract as much money and time and attention from that individual and put it in the people who are the creators and the builders.
Yeah. You have to wash your own brain because there's millions of people trying to brainwash you.
Yes, 100%. You have to wash your own brain, right? And so it's where's that in the step process?
I think that
right?
is awareness though, because that's like, so my favorite way to cultivate awareness is through fasting, not food fasting, any kind of fast, because then it makes,
taking away,
just like
asceticism. Are you a monk?
Dude, never want to be a monk. But no, I think it's really fun to like phone fast and then you can start to realize like, oh, what are my default urges that are not actually in the direction of where I want to go? Yeah. What are other, I think journaling is a good way to like cultivate awareness.
I mean, sitting in silence, going for walks in silence, without your phone.
Without your phone.
Without your phone. Yeah. I mean, I think about, okay.
Wait, just real quick without the phone thing. Like, cause I think one of the hardest parts, and I believe it was a tweet from Naval that said this, but even my uncle when I was a little kid was scared for us on the internet because he was like, we're going to lose our ability to have a place for reflection. And like one thing Naval said about meditation is you can't go from a low state to a high state. Like you have to go through neutral first. And I really think like when I have stuff built up, when I've just distracted myself for so long, it actually takes like a proper amount of time for me to even get to neutral, to filter through like the reflective point, to then be able to think positively or forward or into a higher state. And that's like a lot of times if I haven't been as if I'm washing my brain almost at a daily basis or a consistent amount of time.
I love the concept of washing your brain. That's such a funny concept. Yeah.
But if I haven't
self-washing.
If I haven't been doing that consistently, then it's so hard to get out of those loops because everything in the world is trying to take your time. Yeah. And I've been trying to think about, this is like right on what I've been thinking about a lot recently, which is how do we culturally mature faster? Because this is what I'm most concerned with the onset of AI and this hyper individualism is that we won't be able to mature fast enough as a culture. I think we lost to social media. I think we did not mature fast enough as a culture. No. We didn't build the tools for people to use it. So like, how do we culturally mature starting with the individual versus having, because like, if not, it's going to have to be like a crazy governmental top down thing. Like China, you can only watch TikTok with science shit. Like,
between the hours of 4 and 7.
Yeah, I don't want that to be the outcome. Like, how do we make it fucking cool? Like we made Ice Bass cool to actually use a Kale phone or to like use social media as the greatest tool on earth and AGI is the greatest tool on earth versus we are the product of that. I
think there will be a group that does that. And I think there will also be a group that doesn't do that.
And I think it's going to be, and that's exactly what, that's when you say Austin, that's what I think. I think if I think about the difference between, let's say DC or like a really sad city in the Midwest and Austin, it's like we're using the tools. We're also optimistic. There's a physical component to Austin. And then
everybody knows having children.
Yeah. And then they're just scrolling and like fucking everything is bleak. Yeah. And they went and it was like their parents were watching CNN the whole time and now they're fucking scrolling the whole time. And it's like they're so nihilistic and so negative and there's no optimism for the future. And like Trump is the Antichrist and so is Obama. Like it's just like all of these things.
I wonder how much of that was just self-contained within these little individual family silos for the last, well, I guess forever, versus now it's open Pandora's box and it lives on the internet and it's kind of created its own entity.
Like how much is that we just know it versus
we just know it versus just lived, but now that it's its own entity, it evolves and changes and influences. And Yeah, I mean, people will always remove themselves from that. There will be subcultures. I mean, the Amish will still be around, right? They won't be using phones or anything like that. But I think the problem is that the dopamine factory is getting so good. It's getting so attractive. I can't remember the exact stats, but I read the amount of money gambled on the opening weekend of the NFL. You would be shocked how much it was.
Yeah.
I mean, billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. Those are people who, why do people like gambling? It's a thrill. They like gambling because it's a thrill. They're trying to make some money. They're actually trying to make the thing that they're doing more exciting by putting money on the line. Giving meaning to it.
And it can prove that they're smarter than everybody else, which is like a fundamental
thing. It's
something
to talk about, something to chat about, something to be proud about, something to gain status for. It's like, I won $50,000 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
And I think if you remove purpose and you remove hard work and you shift that somewhere else, and people who, I don't know, they go to their corporate job and they write copy for PPC ads for toilet paper.
I just fell asleep.
Yeah. I mean, that's somebody's job.
I was in that world. Right?
That is somebody's job. Somebody goes to a big corporate office building, they sit in a cubicle and they write 25% off Charmin Extra Soft Rolls.
No, but if you write Charmin Extra Soft Rolls 25% off,
you get a plus 1% conversion rate.
You can tell your boss that, and you get paid no more, but at least you won't get fired.
And so I actually, if that was my life, I would understand why that would be horribly soul crushing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the solution is.
That's why I don't understand.
People are selling this utopia that once AI comes and people get well, now it's not universal basic income, it's universal high income now. Okay. And they get universal high income now. Like, that's just going to create more speculation because they didn't work hard for that money. They're just giving it.
It's just all lottery winners.
So what is that? It's all lottery winners. So we have a culture of lottery winners, which means the money will just keep flowing.
Yeah. GDP's pumping.
GDP's pumping.
People are going to be in, like, again, that's where this bifurcation, like the people who have the attention, or the people who have insider knowledge, or the people who have a great network, which is the insider knowledge, I guess, are just going to fucking pump, dude.
How much are you using these AI tools in your day-to-day life, if at all?
No, lots. So AI replaced, the main thing AI replaced recently is my trainer.
Yeah. Are you doing it yourself on ChatGPT?
On Grok.
Whatever it is, yeah.
I've been doing that and I've worked out more than I basically ever have.
Yeah.
I still meet with Dave once a week so that, like, we can work on form and other stuff, but it's been the most consistent, like, programming I've ever done.
It's excellent at that. It's really, really good at that.
Have you noticed, though, just recently, and let's go down this tangent as well, but have you noticed recently that it has collapsed? Like, I pay for the highest tier of Grok, like $300 a month, and the amount of hallucinations that are happening on a daily basis that is a Googleable thing in the last maybe 3 weeks, and I did on ChatGPT too, it's like it won't know Pokemon Scarlet, Gym Leader 3's Pokemon lineup. It'll miss one every single. I'm like, what the fuck, guys?
Really?
This is Googleable. And I'll even, like, if I'm like, this is crazy, I can do the agent version or the
operator.
No, not the operator. No, I'm actually not fucking with that very intentionally. But I can do the Grok Heavy that has like 4 going all at once. But it takes 20 minutes to answer my Googleable question. Like, that shit's great for researching. It's great for thinking about prediction markets, and like I was thinking through this crazy NFT project recently and like how to game theory it, and that was very useful.
Really good strategy.
But the problem is like, now that it can't do Google's, I'm losing all faith in what the fuck it's saying. Like, I don't know what has happened, but it seems to me it's gotten worse in the last month. But that's neither here nor there. The first thing AI did was it replaced our like, I went from paying Graham to just using Descript.
Yeah.
That was the first thing, and that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then now Trainer.
But my whole point in asking that was, once again, our society will be split between the people who use these tools to build and the people who are the consumers of the tools that the people use to build. And it's going to be 80-20. It's going to be 20%.
I don't think
possibly less.
That's what I think. It was 80-20 for social media. I think for AI it's going to be 199.
So you think it's 1% of people are going to use it to build and 99% of people are just going to consume?
Yeah. I think what we've been taught in our dopamine pathways is, again, this: 1, we have no awareness; 2, we have incredibly lazy because we're still getting the DoorDash at any time.
And so we're inverting our values.
And then the government's going to pay everybody, so it's like they don't have to work for anything.
Yeah.
So I think it'll literally be 99-1, and that's such a sad fucking existence. Like, I think probably one of the worst years of my life when nothing bad happened was probably 2023 in a lot of ways, because I got to a point where I was making money working not very much.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really working anything I cared about. And I was working maybe like 4 hours a month. And I wasn't like balling out, but I was like well over my like lifestyle. And I just fucking, and all of my crypto bros were like kind of embarrassed. So like none of them are doing anything. So we're just like up to like 4 a.m. because we can wake up at 2 every day. Yeah. And I was kind of like, and I got super fat. And I was just like, what just happened? It was like this endless summer for a year. And even though it was something I built and did work really hard to have, I just felt like it was this like you asked like the spiritual value of it. It was like, it was something I didn't necessarily believe in. I'd built to have. And I was just sitting there and I felt so insecure. Mm-hmm. I lacked so much confidence. And it was fun as fuck, but it was like, I couldn't, like, if I would have let that last more than that year, then like I would be dead soon.
Yeah, it could completely crush somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. But from the outside looking in, it might have been like, oh my God, this guy's having the best time ever.
Yeah, I'm sure so many people thought
he's having the best time ever. He's partying
and
all
it was
the time.
a good time. Yeah. So can you hit me another Asahi?
Yeah.
Dude, Jared, what the fuck's going on, bro?
I mean, the world's crazy. But
I'm still super fucking optimistic. Let's do a switcheroo.
Me too. And me too. I think most people will figure it out, and I also think most people won't figure it out, and I think that's okay.
Yeah,
and I think that's just kind of how it is.
I don't want to control people at all, but like I do think when you have more dope people in the world, things are a little bit doper.
I agree, and I think we will be surprised by how young people respond to, I mean, now young people have lived almost their entire lives online, and I think that presents an enormous challenge to them because they might intellectually be aware of so much more than we were intellectually aware of. I mean, shit, I didn't think about anything when I was 16. I just thought about finding girls, hanging out with my friends, and smoking weed and drinking beer and like playing sports.
I was like arguing about religion on the internet.
Okay, you're a little bit different. You're maybe a little bit different there, Sky. Okay, but nowadays they have this weight of awareness of, and it's not the spiritual awareness we talked about where they're aware of its impact on them and they're aware of the nuanced sides of it, and they're
aware of everything that's wrong with the world at all times.
And they're also aware of it being a black and white reality. This is good. This is bad. Mm-hmm. This is good. This is bad. This is oppression. This is freedom. Like, and they have zero of the wisdom to filter it and understand. Oh, okay. Here's the historical context of this, because obviously historical context is racist. It doesn't exist anymore. And here is the wisdom that allows you to turn the temperature down to understand it. And so I don't know what that forge, because that's pressure, right? That's pressure and intensity. I don't know what that forge will create, but I think there will be a response to it. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll be surprised by the response in many ways and not surprised in many ways.
I mean, I do, like, one of the immediate responses that has happened in the last 4 years is like Gen Z is one of the most conservative generations, like,
which makes a ton of sense.
Catholicism's like making a comeback, like all of these different
it makes a ton of sense to me. It makes a ton of sense. Yeah, which I think is probably a good thing, but also once again, people just take things too far. Mm-hmm. That's like the lesson. It's just like, I think Americans are ultimately just the wildest people on earth. Yeah. Which I think is so much fun. It's awesome. I think it creates this like amazing culture where things are wild here. Yeah. And I think it makes the rest of the world really not understand us. Yeah. But we have extremes here, but ultimately America is still one of the few places in the world you can come and you can be who you want to be, and you can be celebrated and rewarded for that unapologetically.
And I also think this is another thing to Austin is I think Austin is one of the few places where that is very, very true. Because I do think the way that the world went in the last few years is it became not okay to be who you wanted to be. Yeah. Unless who you wanted to be was a part of a certain narrative in a certain place. And
it conformed to a certain box.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I see the COVID hangover happening in cities. Like it's crazy. Like in Indianapolis, the COVID hangover's so strong. And it's this Midwestern city. And I've spent a lot of time trying to analyze it. And I think it's because Indianapolis is the only city in Indiana.
Or Indiana.
It's in the name.
I didn't fucking know.
It's the only city in Indiana. And so all of the people who feel like they don't fit in their small towns and like kind of like...
Don't they go to Chicago?
No, because like that takes a amount of... It's like scary. It takes,
It's like one step below that.
Yeah, and it's easy to go to Indy. It's cheap. Yeah. Quality of life is good. And so it's like it kind of brings all of what would be, in Midwestern times in the 2010s, like quote unquote outcast people. And now it's like very domineering because it's the power invert. Like all of those people who align that way believe this thing. And it's just like, it's literally, I go there a fair amount and I'm always just blown away by either COVID hangover or like different political hangovers. And I was like, oh shit, you guys are still in this.
We moved on years ago?
Yeah. It was like, we moved on like 6 months later.
Yeah.
And they're just like, there's
After
a lot
COVID,
of things that they're still just like rocking it. And it's so fascinating. And but I do love, like, there is, like, being in San Francisco this summer, there is right now this resurgence of this
the
kind
locked
of
in culture.
The locked in culture. Like, my friend Will's like, he's going to come on the pod as soon as he comes to Austin, but he was going to go into media and he's like, fuck it, I want to do something in hard tech. He built this company called Ulysses. And so he's like this cowboy surfer Irish lad who fucking Ulysses is doing. The original thing was there are these underwater drones that are planting seeds of
coral, like
of this. It's a very specific seaweed that just captures carbon like crazy, and that was like profitable smallly, very fast.
Yeah,
like I started this company a year and a half ago, and it's a hardware company, and it's already like profitable. And now he's going into kind of more defense or ocean exploration and getting government contracts and like all this shit. And his whole cultural ethos is like kind of like old school America because he is like an Irish immigrant who moved over here like recently, and he's like a wild boy and he does wild shit and he gets drunk with his team and there's somebody lived at their office. Like I walk into their office, it's like sick right
He's
next
based
to
out of Austin?
No, this is in San Francisco.
Okay,
and like it's right next to the Giant Stadium, pretty far away. I don't want to dox the lad, but he's like, yeah, fucking homie over there has been living in there. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, no, he's literally lived here since he got the job like 4 months ago. He's like, he has an apartment, but he sleeps here. And I'm like, let's fucking go, dude. That's sick. That's what I like to see.
Well, I mean, that's what makes American culture unique is people take big swings.
Yeah.
And that's celebrated. And it's okay for someone to take a big swing and fail and get right back up and take another big swing.
Yeah.
And I think that creates the dynamism that we celebrate in America. And I think that's something that needs to be, that's an ember that needs to be protected here.
I mean, I even think, so in the UK right now, there's a lot of shit going on. Like all the millionaires are leaving. People talk about the tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
There seems to be this like
the jailing people for social media posts, which sounds insane.
Yeah.
Like a part of me just like doesn't want to believe it, but it's real.
It's very real.
Yeah.
It's like one person a day right now.
Yeah.
I think
It's insane.
If you can watch the German Ministry of Truth on 60 Minutes talking about it too, about how hate speech should be more criminal and more penalized than actual violence, because if you punch somebody in the face, it only happens once, but if it happens on the internet, it lives forever. And I was like, what the
that makes
fuck?
a ton of sense. That's
Teal
totally
during
logical.
his Antichrist lecture was like bringing this shit up aggressively. But
I just think about Tim Dillon's bit about the Peter Thiel's Antichrist lecture.
Yeah, he should go to them. They're fantastic.
I'm sure they are, but
awesome.
the optics are not good.
Yeah, Thiel's not the problem with Peter Thiel, and I've talked about him way too much on this podcast because I'm like I talk about it all the time. But the problem with Thiel is he communicates incredibly awkwardly.
Yeah, he's super autistic.
If you listen to him though and sit there for it was 8
hours or whatever.
8 hours.
Did you go to it?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I went to like the private showing of like small group before he finally opened it, like sold tickets in San Francisco. It's like Era's tour level, hard to get tickets.
Yeah.
But I went to like his private testing of basically the ideas and his communication of it. But he doesn't speak in ways that most people understand things.
Yeah.
He's not declarative. He speaks in paradoxes. Like he's never making a statement. He's always holding
his reference bank is so deep.
Yeah.
Historically, like his reference bank is so deep. If you're not well learned, you will not get it.
This was at this is at University of Austin.
Yeah.
And like, so basically kids, like the students, the freshman class, all 18-year-olds got to ask questions. And like some kid asked a question, like, because he was reading War and Peace in class, and Thiel was just like, oh, I've actually recently read War and Peace, and you misinterpreted this point and this point and this point. The next lecture, the next week, the kid comes up, he's like, you were right. I'm sorry. I went back and reread that. Like, and I was like,
wow. Damn.
He also did a whole thing on One Piece.
Damn.
Which rocked.
What is One Piece?
One Piece was the greatest anime of all time. It's like my favorite. It's my fucking thing. Those homies over there.
Okay.
And I was like, this rocks.
Oh my God.
But it's hard because it's so easy to make a soundbite to go super negative and viral when he is speaking in the way that does, speak in, you have to think about it. Like, it's a slog, mate.
Mm-hmm.
But he's so fascinating, though.
What did you learn from it?
So he doesn't think we're in like the end times.
Does he believe in like the biblical version of reality?
So Teal is Gerardian to a point that's fucking crazy. Like, to a point I didn't even know. Like, I always knew that it influenced him. I didn't realize how much it is his operating system, or has, sorry. The certain
Whereas
points
like
he likes.
our beliefs influence reality?
No. So it's that mythology is like, it's almost Jungian in a sense, like looking at mythology will tell us so much more about the future in the specific.
Okay, so that's what I mean when our beliefs inform our reality.
It's
like
it's not necessarily that though. It's not metaphysical in that sense.
The myths are like a core part of like the human consciousness and experience.
Yes, yeah. It's like, and it's like it's informing how we will behave.
Yes, exactly.
And so, in like Gerard specifically focused on like scapegoating, and then also on mimetic things like miming, right? Mm-hmm. And so when Teal is thinking about the Antichrist, I think he's thinking about it, and I don't know this, but I get the
figurative sense of the self-destruction of culture versus in the literal sense of a person comes and they're the Antichrist.
But it can,
from heaven
but it is literal though in the sense that
I get that
they'll create Armageddon.
Well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
In Armageddon, in his eyes, is all-knowing. There's no privacy, and the Antichrist will be the one who sees all. They'll probably be younger. He thinks they're most likely to appear as the president of the United States.
Interesting.
They will appear more Christ-like than Christ.
Okay. We would never elect somebody like that to be the president of the United States, at least not in our lifetime.
I don't know.
You don't know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what about like Mr. Beast?
He's Christ-like?
He brings water to the people without water. He returns sight. He returns hearing.
Is this an example?
He has more. No, this. He has more information on people than almost anybody. He has all of the attention of the world. Beast is in his fucking name.
Yeah, that's true. Mark of the Beast.
So that's interesting.
You've definitely thought about this one before. That is interesting, and I don't know. I mean, I'm 0% connected to Mr. Beast. I've probably never watched a Mr. Beast video before, so I'm like 0% connected to him as an individual, other than just knowing he's a very successful content creator and he does crazy stuff.
Yeah, I will also say, just for full clarification, is
you don't believe Mr. Beast is the Antichrist?
No. I think there's a good case. I don't think we know who it is. I think it's too early to tell. But I wasn't the one who thought Mr. Beast. It was like a friend of mine who I know.
It's solid.
He wouldn't want his name mentioned.
Yeah, if you walk through the examples you gave, I think that's like a pretty solid. I think what's more interesting about all of this is the idea that the Antichrist can exist without being a literal representation or even forecast or prediction from the Bible. And like the Antichrist can come and it can exhibit all the same signs that were written about the Bible, but that doesn't also mean that the Bible was like a literal translation. It could just be it's like once a piece of content gets entered into our cultural consciousness, it then has an effect on that cultural consciousness, which then manifests in different ways. Because I mean, something I believe is our reality isn't one way, it's two-way, and our thoughts and our beliefs and what we create also informs how the world or the universe, or in my spiritual perspective, God, responds. And it's two-way, it's back and forth. So everything we put in gets like digested and processed and remixed, and then it comes back out in some way. And so I think that's probably the most interesting thing, that I thought it was like a literal Antichrist conversation or hey, here's what it means, but it sounds like, cool, here's how the Antichrist could possibly manifest in our world without any sort of like attachment to, hey, this is because God said so, or because there's some whatever. It's like, actually, this is kind of just how life operates and functions. It's like there's action, there's reaction, and there's this pendulum that swings back and forth.
Yeah. I think the way to look at the Bible in a literal way that's interesting is that it's a historical text of something that happened and that can happen again. And it's not that like the whole world ends and the Jesus figure arises and stuff. It's actually just that like we can collapse as a species and then be like reborn again. And if we like,
which goes back to what we said, it's like a human life, actually all life is composed of many, many deaths.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
All the time.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything ever.
All at once.
All at once. Yeah, dude. 100%.
Oh my God.
Dude, it was super fucking interesting. Have you... Dude, it's so hard to... Everything I'm thinking about is within the context of like some stuff that went down this week, but I don't really want to go into that necessarily. But there's this book called America Against America.
Okay.
By Wan Huling, who's like a pretty high up now political official in China after him living here for 6 months.
I saw him get some press recently, but I didn't look into this.
Yeah. It's fascinating because it felt like it's quite predictive to where we are now. How do you think about how you know things? Because I really struggle with that.
How I know things like okay, I think the best formula I've found for like truth, or my best approximation of truth, is where you find individuals who are accomplished in some way. They have a quote unquote a resume that backs up what they're saying. Is they've shown that they can go out in the world, do things that are valuable. And I find individuals who have different fields of expertise who come to similar tangential conclusions. And so the more you can find individuals who have totally different frames of references coming to some tangential conclusion about reality, I feel like that's where truth lies, our best approximation of truth.
Yeah. What's an example of something this year that you've been able to like...
What's an example of something this year that I found...
that you could like verify that way?
So, I don't know if this happened this year, but it's been recent. I've kind of coined like my spiritual practice, or my life philosophy is practically enlightened. And it's this concept of using everything in my life to spark and create the raw ingredients for enlightenment. And enlightenment isn't an end state that you reach one day. It's moments of clarity and perfect awareness. And you look at any and all spiritual texts and any and all people who I at least believe have created some amount of like true happiness. And you can even look at people who are very old and dying, and what do they say matter to them? You can look at monks who live these lives of asceticism and service and duty, and what brought them enlightenment and purpose and fulfillment, and even like parents and what brought them purpose and fulfillment. And it's like these small moments of noticing the beauty of like a new flower in spring, or the feeling of that beer you drink after hiking all day, or just the absolute raw joy you have of seeing your kid ride a bicycle for the first time. And it's like, that's, I think, what I live for. And that's what I try to integrate into my awareness every single day. And it's this idea of using what's practical, what's mundane and available all the time, to spark those deep levels of like presence, joy, and gratitude. And I think presence, joy, and gratitude are the ultimate states of being to try and seek out. And so that's just one way I've tried to like triangulate that.
It reminds me of Tim Ferriss at one point, which is not a very happy person, I would say. I think he would say that too, but
he said that.
Yeah. He would talk about you're doing the dishes and you're envisioning how good like the plum is gonna taste, versus like enjoying doing the dishes and then enjoy doing the plum. Yeah.
Or everybody has things that we do every single day, and we forget about those things, and we actually orient. I'm not gonna say we orient, but I think many people orient their lives around their peaks. And the peaks are something you maybe experience how many times? Very few times a year. Okay. So if you orient your entire life around like oh, I graduated high school and it was so awesome with me and the boys. And then we went to college and that was so great. And then like I got married and that was great. And like you work for the rest of life and you die. I'm like, or you have like one trip a year with your friends and that's like the entire orientation around like your excitement for life. Like you're missing everything from when you get up until you go to sleep every single day. That's kind of like the monotony of like, oh man, how good does that shower feel after you've had like a long, hard day?
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget about that.
Yeah. Watermelon juice after a sauna.
Watermelon juice after like those things. And you talk about fasting.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a great way to become aware of like what brings us joy and gratitude. It's why I love going into the woods for a week.
For sure.
You go into the woods for a week and you kind of wash off like the cultural chaos and you actually have thoughts again and you remember, oh, this is who I am. Like, oh, I'm naturally attracted to these things. And oh, I've been sleeping on the ground for 7 days and actually I got better sleep than I normally get. What's going on with that? That's weird. And then you come back and you take that shower and you eat that cheeseburger and fuck, I love cheeseburgers. They're so fucking good because they are good. They are really good, but you just shouldn't eat them every single fucking day. And you shouldn't DoorDash them all the time. You can DoorDash a little bit. A little bit of DoorDash is totally fine. But if you orient your life around these like conveniences, and then you also orient your life around like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 special peak moments a year, I feel like you're missing so much of the juice of life.
Yeah, without a doubt. One thing George Mack did that I thought was really practical and cool is he basically created -1s, 0s, and 1s, and every single day he would review, and that was like his journal, which is -1, 0, 1. And then he just like looked at his life and calendar and just like when was he 1s and when was he 0s, and then just like optimized for those things. Yeah, and like, but he optimized like how to get more days that are 0s or 1s and less days that are negative.
Yeah.
And it like, I think even thinking in that like not binary, but like, I don't know, trinary, tertiary, I don't know what the word is, but like it just allows you to, again, create awareness even in the mundane on the daily average. How do I even like move towards like an average of 0.5 throughout the whole thing?
Yeah. I mean, how many times do you just like ride your scooter around town?
Fairly often, actually. Yeah.
How many times do you just feel immense bliss while doing it?
Dude, that's the thing is like the reason I bike or scooter to work is because it's so fun for me. Because I grew up dirt biking.
I think that's a great milestone though. It's like if you can sit and like ride a scooter because you're like you're a busy guy. Like you're doing things, you're taking care of kids, you're going to meet people. Like if you can just fucking enjoy riding a scooter because it's fun.
I love it.
It's so fun.
It literally brings me so much
but if
joy.
you're fucking riding a scooter, you're like pissed off. You're like, oh man, I fucking can't believe I have to go do this. And like this person was mean to me. And oh my god, this person cut me off.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's torturing yourself.
It sucks. That's why I wish there was like some sick jumps. Because like I've taken my bike off fucking staircases and shit, rocks.
One of the other reasons I believe people should have children is because having a child introduces a way greater landscape for suffering. And so if you have a way bigger landscape for suffering, because your kid can keep you awake, they can talk back to you, they can hit you, they can pinch you, they can hit another kid. Like they create a lot of opportunity for suffering, and it's contrast, right? And so in order to feel gratitude and joy, and in order to feel those two things, we have to feel some level of hardship or suffering or sacrifice. And the more you can take that suffering and that sacrifice or that annoyance or whatever it is and turn it into a moment to be grateful and to feel love and compassion for your child. The reason I say child is because it's easier to do it for your child than it is to do it for a coworker, for your partner,
or for
yourself, for some random person in the street. It's so much easier to do it for your child because they're so innocent and you love them so much and you can't help but love them so much. So it's so much easier to do it for your child. And so I think that piece, if our culture loses that, then I think we just all turn into a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, no, for sure. So if you want to hear the rest of this podcast, you want to hear about not more Antichrist talk, aka yes, more Antichrist talk, who the most likely person to be the Antichrist is. If you want to hear about Jared's new ventures, including an astrology app, which is off his beaten path.
Yes.
If you want to hear about his giant tortoise, which bites toes and cucumbers, head to skmp.supercast.com.